Hello. So I was super happy to see some more philosophical questions in the Quantenpost. I think it's fun to not just look at the mathematics, but the conceptual side of quantum physics. The first question that I had here was, can quantum physics be used to explain consciousness and how it arises? So if we think of consciousness just in terms of how your brain works, then quantum physics is, of course, super useful. Your brain works with electrical impulses and at a very small scale, so on the scale of atomics and electronic fields. Then quantum physics is the mathematical formalism that we use to describe how these functions happen in your brain. So for that, some knowledge of quantum chemistry, of how atoms interact, of how electric signals propagate is super useful for understanding how your brain works. In terms of a larger question, which many people call the hard problem of consciousness, which is trying to understand sort of more about like identity and how can you have some self-awareness and those kinds of questions. This is a very open problem, and some people have had very interesting theories of how quantum could fit in with that. For example, Sir Roger Penrose is a very well-known scientist who had ideas about the fact that if the human brain can understand quantum physics and quantum computations, which can't be done on a classical computer, then it would make sense if the human mind cannot be exactly described by only classical physics. So in that sense, he had some ideas that there were some quantum properties in how your brain works. He didn't have a full explanation for them, but he has a super interesting book called The Emperor's New Mind, which I recommend if you're interested in the quantum notions of consciousness. There are also sort of more out there theories. You all heard about now Schrodinger's cat. So this idea where you're not sure what's happened to the cat until you open the box. So while the box is closed, it's both alive and dead. Well, you're the one in the end who does the observation and sees whether the cat is dead or alive. And so some people, this was put forward by von Neumann and Wigner, this idea that it's actually the human brain that determines in the end this outcome, this measurement. And without an observer, yourself, your consciousness, there is no collapse or observation of a quantum system. So if you poll physicists, most will tell you that this is not true and that quantum mechanics exists without an observer and consciousness. However, there's also not necessarily a proof against it. So indeed, quantum physics can be used to ask questions about consciousness and talk about philosophical problems with consciousness. And also on a smaller scale, of course, it could be used to understand the physical workings of your brain and your body.